All right, so we've done our last mow for the year, and so we're gonna winterize our lawnmower to get it ready for storage and to get it ready for next season. So I'm gonna put links in the video description for everything that I use. All the information that you will need will be listed in there, including Amazon links for parts that you may want to order. And I'll also make an index where you can skip ahead to the parts that you're interested in. Let's get started. All right, I forgot to mention this in the intro, so I'm putting it in later in the edit portion. Before I did this on my last mow, I completely emptied the carburetor out of fuel, not just the carburetor, but the actual lawnmower tank, fuel tank. I ran all the fuel out of it, so it has no fuel in it whatsoever when I'm doing this work. So I just wanted to point that out. Okay, so what I do to winterize a mower is I change the oil, I change the air filter, I change a spark plug, I'll grease the wheels, and I sharpen the blade. And I also put some fluid film protectant on the mower deck. So you're gonna find, again, all the products I use in the description. This particular engine oil, this mower takes a 10W30. Just follow your manual if you have a different kind of mower. This is extremely expensive. I bought it because it's a gallon and the mower only takes 12 ounces. So it's already lasted me years, and it's gonna last me, like, this thing will probably last me over a decade. So, but you can get any, I would just say synthetic 10W30 would work for this mower. Also, you'll find on the spark plug in this video, I'll put all the information on the spark plug, how to change it, all the tools you need. I will not be changing the spark plug this winter because I actually had a spark plug go bad about a month ago, and I made a video on this channel playlist for my power equipment for this mower where I do change that. Typically I change it every winter. It's the first time that I think I've ever had one go bad before 1 year, but I had to change it out about a month ago, so I will not be changing the spark plug this time. But everything else will do. So we're gonna get started. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is change the oil. I have my plastic sheeting, got my oil pan ready to accept the oil. On this mower, the oil goes in right here, and that's also where it comes out. So to drain the oil, you take this cap off and you get the oil out of there. So in the past, so one way to do it is to get two people, one on that end of the mower, one on this end of the mower. You just lift it up, you tip it over, and you tip it over into a catch pan until it's done. Then you tip it back over, and it takes 12 ounces of oil. We've also found that you can tilt it at about a 45-degree angle and use some sort of syringe. This is a Mighty Vac fluid extractor. We used this last season. You put this down in there, you tip the mower at about a 45-degree angle this way, you draw up the oil, you squirt it out. It takes a few times, but it does work. This year, I think we're just gonna pick it up and turn it over. So my wife is my videographer, and I need her to do that. So we're gonna stop recording. We're just gonna pick the mower up and tip it over, drain the oil out. So we're gonna do that right now. All right, so this takes 12 ounces. So we got 12 ounces of oil. I marked this picture. I'll put this picture in the description. I use it all the time to get my measurements. And so we'll need this and some sort of small funnel. So now we'll just go right over to where we poured the oil out of right here. Put the funnel in there. Let's pour our 12 ounces of oil in. kind of let that settle. So then on these, I've been told you're supposed to actually check the oil without threading on the dipstick. So we got our dipstick wiped off there. Gonna put this in. Take it out. See that we're full. So we have our oil in there that we need. 12 ounces. That's good to go for another season. So now our air filter on this model. Got these two tabs right here. Just push them in with your fingers. It'll make this fall out. Then you got these two little tabs on the bottom that fit in down here. That air filter is pretty dirty, so we definitely want to change that. It's clean in here, which is nice. Like if you have a duster or this air in a can, sometimes it's worth just blowing some of that dust out of there. So then we're gonna take our new filter. I'll put all the part numbers in the description. Basically, we just take our new Honda filter. Just gonna put it right up against there like that. Just make sure it really fits in perfect. Okay, these tabs go in first on the bottom down here. There's a couple holes on the bottom. You just rest that in there. It kind of acts like a hinge. And then when we get to the top, just hold in on the bottom so it doesn't come out, and then just use your thumbs to kind of press that in, and they latch in. So these latch in. Now it's on there good. So we change our oil, we change our air filter. Again, we're not going to do this spark plug because we did it a month ago. But if we did, we would take this rubber boot off right here. We'd use the socket that I will put in the description to take out that spark plug. We'll use our new spark plug. I'll have a link in the description for that. You put it back in, and I'll have the torque spec. I believe it's 14 pound-feet, but I'll have that in the description. You would put in your new spark plug and then put this boot back on. And that's how you would change the spark plug. So again, look in the description, and I will link that video in the description of me changing the spark plug about a month ago. So, all right, so now we're gonna grease the wheels. So you're gonna need a 12mm socket. You're gonna need some fluid film, red and tacky grease, Lucas, and a rag. Links will be in the video description. So we're gonna take this, we'll start with the front wheel there, a little simpler. So, just gonna use that, take off that nut. Take off our wheel. So we see these front wheels are very simple. They're just plastic, they don't have anything inside. There's no lubricant left here. So what we're gonna wanna do here, first I'm gonna use my fluid film just to give a little coating on this, on the metal here. I'm gonna take a rag and just kind of rub that in. Just kind of rub it. Kind of clean that. Kind of wipe it clean. And then gonna use this Lucas red and tacky grease. Just touch my finger. Just get a little bit. I've never used this as a brand new can. It'll probably last my lifetime. Just try to get a little bit on there, and then just rub it right here. kind of leave it thin, so just kind of pick up that excess, and I'm just gonna kind of wipe that on the rag. Don't want to wipe it back in the can in case it's not going to be completely clean, so I'll keep it out of the can. All right, so then I'm just going to take my wheel, and put it back on. Start that by hand. Put that wheel back on. Now we're gonna move back here. These are a little more complex in the rear because they have gears. So take the nut off the same way. Take the wheel off. Okay, you see how this one has a more like a bearing sleeve or something in there, metal sleeve, and it's got this gearing here, and then this plastic piece comes off. Okay, and it exposes this gear, these parts. So I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to find some sort of a brush. So before I put the grease on in the film, I just want to clean this up a little bit. So I'm going to find a brush I can use. Okay, so I got a little nylon brush. I've got a little duster here, which is similar to like air in a can or something, but it just blows debris away. So I'm just gonna start working here and see how this goes. Okay, so didn't really take much brushing. You could use an old toothbrush. I'll try to remember to put links to this brush set I bought that's got like nylon, and it's got some, I can't remember if it's like copper, steel, something like that. But it's fairly inexpensive, and I've used it for a lot of different things where different brush strengths are required. So anyway, we got that. I'm just gonna see if anything else goes off. Okay, and then while I got it, I really need to give a quick look, to like this. Gonna have some grass on it, obviously. Got grass on the inside. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. And then this gear. I want to kind of hit this gear so that I don't have any just, outright loose debris on there. So that way when we put our grease on there, it's actually going on the surface and not on dead grass, something like that. So now that we look like this, with the wheel off, we're going to use this fluid film. I'm going to get a clean rag. So I have this fluid film. I'm going to spray it on this surface. Okay, just kind of take my rag and wipe that in, rub that in. Make sure those surfaces are coated but not dripping. Okay. Okay, so we got that coated. Now I'm gonna take this. Okay, there's a little pin that I had to line up with this little metal tab. I had to line up with that. Okay. So, okay. I think what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna take this red and tacky grease, and I'll put it on this gear. Just kind of rotate that gear a little bit. Spin that. I probably should have done that when I had this off. So why don't you apply that when that cover's off so you don't have to spin it like I am. You'll be able to access it. And then I'm going to take a little and put on the shaft right here. Just a thin coating. Okay. And then I want to take some and I want to get this gear. So I just want to kind of rub the teeth. Again, not putting it on thick, but need to get a decent amount just to cover all the teeth. Honda does grease these from the factory, but this is the first time I've ever done this. I should have been doing it all along. So mine totally dry, has been having no lubrication whatsoever. So from now on, this will be being done every winter. So hopefully I caught it before too much damage has been done, so that my wheels last. Okay. Okay. So we got that on there. I'll wipe the excess off my finger. I'm gonna put this wheel back on. Okay. Give it a little spin there. Everything's working right. I always start those by hand so you don't cross thread. Okay. So this side is done. This side is different because this is where my height adjustment is. So there's a height adjustment lever on this side. So I just want to capture that. So we took this front wheel off. We just want to say that what we want to do is include that in the fluid film lube, just to catch that height adjuster as part of that, since it does, move. Just one of the things that we want to capture with the fluid film. So that's the only difference here, really, on this side. But it's not going to hurt just to show you. So we're going to put the red and tacky on this shaft right here, this front wheel. Okay, and get it back on. Okay, then we go to this back wheel. So we're gonna not only have a height adjustment on this one, but I'm gonna correct the mistake I made on the other one with the greasing of that little gear. So give me an opportunity to do it the right way. So, got my nylon brush, gonna clean my wheel gear. Inside of this wheel is surprisingly clean. Wow. Okay. Can't believe how clean this one is. Okay, so that's pretty good. And then on this, while it's still on there, it's all dusty. I'll just go ahead and rip it off and do it. So this tab is right here that I was mentioning on the other wheel. So right behind that tab is this little metal piece right here on this gear, and it does rotate. So that's what we're having to line up there, is this metal tab. So that's what I was trying to capture on the other side. So there we got a big old clump of dead grass. So we're just using this nylon brush to get the dirt, the grime, the grass off, so that when we put on our fluid film and our grease, we're starting with a cleaner surface, so it'll do its job a little better. Okay, now this was pretty dirty, so I'll give it a little cleaning. Okay. Okay. Okay, so with everything off, again, got our height adjuster here on this one. We're going to lube all the way up to that. Going to spray all this. Okay. Kind of let that sit in there. Start wiping it off where it won't keep dripping when we're done. I always recommend taking the minute to put the plastic sheeting down. Keep your garage or driveway free from all that mess. And just wipe on that fluid film. The different thing I said I would do over here is I'm gonna get that little gear now instead of later. So while it's easier to get with that cover off, I'm gonna get some of this red and tacky grease on it. Okay, so now this is where I don't want to call it a tricky part, but is, okay, the cover goes with this flat side up against there. So this tab has to line up with this metal thing that has been moved all the way over here. So I'm gonna take my finger, slide it over here, and without, seeing it much, I need to try to line it up, or I'm not gonna get, okay, there it is. There, it popped on pretty easy. Now that that's on, get the red and tacky on the shaft right here. That's way too much. So I'm gonna wipe it off. Get a lot of that off of there so that I got a thin layer Okay. Thin layer like that. Okay, that's what I want. And then this right here, this gear took quite a bit because we're trying to get it in the teeth all the way around. So it's not that I want a thick layer, it's just to actually go around all those teeth. I need a decent amount on my finger, and I'm just kind of, it really does go down into the teeth pretty well when you just do your finger around like that, and that's enough. So I don't want too much, but I want it enough where it's gonna have grease on it until it's totally dry. I'll put my lid back on. Put this on. I'm gonna put my nut back on by hand first. See, that's not really going on that easy. Okay. Might see what's up with that. Okay. All right. So, the wheels are done. So now my next move is gonna be my blade. So I've already got the mower started to tip, so I always tip it over this way. I should have also mentioned that on my last mow, I completely ran the lawnmower out of fuel. So the carburetor is totally empty. I still have the fuel off, but I always tip it this way with the air filter up. All right, so we're gonna take our blade off, 14 millimeter socket. We're only gonna take these two outside bolts off. We do not mess with that center bolt. I've already done this, but it's a good idea to take a photo of this so that when you go to put it back on, you don't question which way the blades go, and you'll see that they are not aligned. That's the only way they'll go on. You'll need a blade block. I always just keep this 2x4. I write my 14 millimeter socket. And because what will happen is when we turn this, the blade is going to want to move. So I'm going to want to put it in a position where I can stand on that board. So I'm going to want to break these free. Okay, I got that broke free. I'm going to want to break this free. Okay. Alright, so I got them broke free. So I'm going to take off these bolts. So I do have a washer to keep track of. Don't cut your hand on the blades, so be careful where you're grabbing them. Might want to wear some thicker gloves for that purpose. All right, so I'm going to take those out. While these are sitting here, just going to go ahead and give them a quick spray. The threads a quick fix. All right, so I'm going to take these blades and my little nylon brush. I've got a angle grinder here. Go ahead and hit that area there where the bolts go back in. me just kind of show you before I get them clamped down. So on this blade, what I'm sharpening is this edge right here, just from this top side where there's this angle. So I'm going to take my angle grinder, I'm going to grind from here to here. And then on this other side, I got the same thing. These are my cutting blades from here to here, sharpening that. So that's what I'm going to do there. This is my mulching blade. Similar thing. Turn it over on the one side. I'm going to be sharpening from here to here, this angle. Here to here, that angle. So I'm sharpening 4 small sections. So now I just got to get my setup there where my blade isn't going to move on me. Okay. Always wear a full face shield when you angle grind. Okay, so you can see the shiny part. That's where it's got a new edge on it. These blades were new a year ago at this time, so then I sharpened them the first time 4th of July weekend, and then now is the second time that they've been sharpened. I believe I got it's either 3 or 4 years out of them before I bought new blades last year. Alright, so there's that edge that we got. There's that edge that we got. So be careful not to touch it where you just grind it. It's going to be hot and sharp. Alright, we have two things left to complete for this winterization of this mower. We've sharpened our blade. All we have to do is put them back on, torque them down right. But we also wanted to clean our mower deck and then put some of this fluid film on it for the winter to coat it, keep it from rusting. So I'm going to pause the blade right now, because once I put the blades back on, I'm going to be working around these sharp blades to try to clean a mower deck. So while the blades are off, I've got some mixture on this Honda mower of plastic here, but then it turns to metal here. So I've got a copper and a steel brush, and what I'm going to do is just kind of free up some of the grass, and I'm just going to kind of work on this. So I think the copper is sufficient for the plastic, and then on the steel, I may have to use the steel one to get some of it off, but basically I'm just working on getting some of this residue off, so that when I put on the fluid film, it's really adhering to the metal. It's not that dirty. When I finished mowing yesterday, I spent a lot of time just using a hose to make sure it was clean with a hose, but you can see that a lot of this is really on there. So yeah, this steel brush, I'll put links in the description to this brush kit I got, where it's got the nylon I used earlier on the wheels, this copper, and I can't remember if this is just what kind of steel this is, but basically you can see all the stuff it's getting off. So it's going to make that fluid film have a lot more to adhere to when we store it over the winter. And again, the purpose of this is to kind of slow the rusting process. So even though I realize it's probably eventually going to rust, what this might do is make it to where that's not what made you get a new mower. So if we can just extend the life of the wheels by greasing them, we can save money by not replacing wheels. If we can keep the deck from rusting by spraying a little fluid film on there when we winterize it, those kind of things. Something's eventually going to make me get a new mower, but change the oil is probably not going to be the motor. We're just trying to take care of everything that we can, and unfortunately they've stopped making these Honda mowers, so I want to make this last as long as I can. I got this brand new several years ago at Home Depot for like $429 or something like that, and wish they still made them. So anyway, it didn't have to be perfect, but we're taking the time to do it, so we'll do the best we can. So that's pretty good. I'm gonna get rid of that debris at the bottom. Got my little broom. I'm gonna go ahead and just knock off anything loose. Okay. All right, so before we spray the fluid film, we're going to think about a couple of things here. So it could drip a little when I'm done. So I'm going to cut a piece of plastic sheeting that's about the same footprint as my mower. and I store it right here. So I'm gonna put it there so that when I store it, if it drips that fluid film, it's not dripping on my garage floor. So I'm gonna take a quick moment and do that. Okay, so what we did, this is the spot the mower is gonna sit in where I wanted the sheeting so the fluid film would drip on that and not on the floor. But I need room to work to spray the initial coating and to get my blade back on. So we have another sheet here, got the mower there, so I can kind of work in this area. And then when we're done, we'll just tip it and lift it over to there. So with the blade off, I'm basically just gonna apply this and you know, I'm gonna get up here. This is metal up in here. I'm not laying it on super thick, but I want a good coating. So just coating it, not overdoing it, but want to cover everything. So that's the whole point. And even though this is plastic, I'm going to go ahead and coat it. Get around the inside. I'm just going to kind of look back at anything I might have missed. Looks like it's pretty well coated. And I'm just going to let it sit there. Let's see. Got some metal there. I don't want to hit my belt, but I have this red point nozzle on there, so I'm going to just hit the metal, avoid my belt. So there we go. And now that's done. So now all I gotta do, line my blades up. So on the blades, this blade goes behind this blade and these grooves face out. So just line up these holes right here. When I line up those holes, see, these are offset just like we pointed out before. So then we just line up. I'm just gonna take one of these, put it in there. We're gonna just start it by hand. Then we're gonna take the other one, line the blades up, start it by hand. So these are torqued down to 40 foot-pounds, okay? And since we're gonna be, before we had our blade block on that side, because the blade was wanting to go that way, tightening blade's gonna wanna go this way. So don't cut your fingers. I'm gonna move the blade slightly that way so I can get my blade block, and my torque wrench is already set to 40 foot-pounds. And also you'll notice I use a 3/8 inch extension, and that is so that when I'm using a ratchet, it gets me away from the deck where my hand's not hitting that. You don't need that long of an extension, but the shorter extension would have probably sufficed. So we're just gonna start by snugging them. Okay, now we're gonna okay, got that one to 40. Got that one to 40, so we're done. So our blade change is done. Our mower deck is winterized. So now all we're gonna do is tip it over, and then I'll kind of move it on to just kind of pivot it over this way into my fresh plastic sheeting, keep my garage clean. And I'm going to throw this one away. So that completes our winterization of our mower. And I'll put a video index, I'll put links in the description. So it's ready to go for next year. All I have to do is put gas in it. So also on my fuel, I do use this stay bill for all of the fuel. This stay bill storage, so that keeps your fuel fresh. It says for up to 2 years. I would think 1 year is a little bit safer. So anyway, I do use that according to the directions on the bottom. So I hope that's been helpful. Thank you for watching.